Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Confessions of a Gaming Mum. You may notice there's a few little different things about it. First of all, new hair. I decided because my son was pulling it out and it's falling out because of post-pregnancy anyway, that I might as well just cut the whole lot off and just not have to care about it. I was going to try and straighten it because this is how my hair naturally is. It's really wavy, and normally I straighten it, but it looks really flat and silly when it's straightened like this. So I thought I'll just leave it to run free. But yeah, anyway, new hairdo, yay! Also, new surroundings. I've had to come down into the living room to do a new video because my husband is actually working from home. He works from home twice a week. So it's basically doing me a favour because he's just watching our son while I get some videos done, because I've been trying to get this video done for about a week, but every time my son either cries or makes a noise and I'll have to try and talk over it, and yeah, it's been fun trying to get this video done. But yeah, hence the change of surroundings, because the office is currently being used for its actual purpose, which is for my husband to work from home. So if you hear any like crying in the distance, that's because obviously my son's up there with my husband. It's not that I've just abandoned him in some room somewhere while I try and do this vlog. But so anyway, the topic for the vlog today is actually, basically I wanted to talk about Bioware, because, well, not necessarily talk about Bioware, but I wanted to talk about the situation regarding Bioware, because I think if you've been living under a rock for the last week or so, you might not have heard about it. But yeah, there was an article that was done by Kotaku. I can never say the guy's name. It's something like Jason Schreier, I don't know. But yeah, he basically did a very long article. It takes about an hour to read. If you want, I'll leave a link to the actual article at the bottom of this video if you don't know what I'm actually going on about. But basically he did like an expose on Bioware, and if you don't know who Bioware are, they are the developers that worked on the game Anthem. Which again, I've never played. It's not my sort of game, but yeah, it's basically an online multiplayer game that I think it had so much hype around it, and then when it got released, it was a massive disappointment, panned in the reviews and everything. Fans hated it, and yeah, they just got a lot of backlash for it. And this article that Jason brought out was basically an expose where he apparently spoke to 19 anonymous employers of Bioware who actually just basically went on about just how bad Bioware was to work for and why the game is so bad. So like, you had a number of different things that they talked about. They talked about the mismanagement. So just management just really didn't have a clue as to what was going on in the game, or they weren't listening to what the developers were actually saying when they were saying that things weren't working, or they could have, like, something was broken, like management just ignored it. Egos between A team and B team, because you have one studio which is in Edmonton and one that's in Austin, and yeah, they just did not get on. So when one team would, I think it's, I don't quote me on this, but I know I'm pretty sure Edmonton is the A team, or seen as they see themselves as the A team basically, and Austin was the B team. When Austin would be asking for help from Edmonton would turn around and say, we're not going to help you because you're the B team, we don't deal with the B team, sort of thing. And yeah, you just had like a lot of, like, it's just so many different issues. I think there was one as well with the new system that EA was basically forcing on the developers as well. Let me find the name of it. The new system that EA was forcing on their developers, which was Frostbite, and then so they were forcing it on them, and it got to a point where it couldn't really be used on Anthem, but they were told they had to use it. So it really sort of affected really badly, like in a very negative way, how the game actually ran and what would work within the game, and they had to start different things from scratch when it was brought in, like when it was incorporated into the game and things like that. So obviously that didn't help. And you also have the thing, again, going back to mismanagement, you have the whole thing of when support was actually being taken working on that game to be pulled into working on other titles such as Mass Effect. I mean, yeah, it got to a point where Bioware couldn't even test their own game because they couldn't get it to run. It got to a point where it was that bad. and it was like, I think management were just making like decisions just off their own back or whatever. Like there was just no communication between the different departments. So when you see the trailer, which everyone was like really hyped about when they saw the trailer at E3 in 2017, and you had people from Bioware watching this trailer and being like, that's not the game I've been working on for the last couple of months, what the hell was that, sort of thing. Like people didn't actually know, or they weren't on the same level, so to speak, on what was actually happening with the game. I mean, right off the bat, what I'm going to say is what happened with Bioware. When you read this article, so much screams out to me of what it was like with core design and IDOS, with Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, and we all know what happened with that. There's a game that just sent people over the edge, so to speak, in terms of the developers were being overworked, the publishers needed to see results, because that's another thing I wanted to add as well, is the fact that you can't blame EA purely for what happened to the game, because they'd been working on Anthem for 7 years. That's a long time. So EA has been pumping millions and millions of dollars into making this game, and they were not seeing anything for it. So yeah, it probably was rushed at the end, but that's because they needed results. They put so much money into it and they weren't seeing shit for it. And it kind of like was the same with core design and IDOS and Tomb Raider, like Angel of Darkness, in terms of you have IDOS putting all this money into the game and they're not really seeing any results. In the end, they're just like, look, you're going to have to release it because people are like, we're losing money on it. So obviously the game got released unfinished, it was buggy and different things like that. I mean, I think I've said in a previous video, to me it was fine. I didn't really notice any issue with it. I think I had a few issues with the controls or whatever and the way Lara was controlled, but I just thought that was sort of the new way that how the games would be played, and once I got used to the controls I was fine with it. But yeah, it got panned at the time, and that's what ended up losing core design the Tomb Raider title, and it ended up being passed to Crystal Dynamics. It just said like so much, reading the article and thinking, I can imagine this is exactly what it was like. I mean, but this is like nearly 20 years ago now. One of those things, it's quite depressing to hear. But like I said, this video isn't really going to be about Bioware. It was because, I mean, so many people have already done videos and articles about what Bioware, like what these people have said. Like I said, Jason Schreier or Scribe, whatever, Kotaku have done this article. We've had people summarise that in their own articles. We've also had Bioware come out, like the management from Bioware come out in response to what was said. So you can, if you look, you will find God knows how many articles in it. But what I wanted to talk about is the fact that, to me, this article is just basically the tip of the iceberg. The reason there's been an article about Bioware is because the fact because Anthem was so bad. But really, if you were to sort of just look behind the scenes of pretty much every single game developer and publisher out there, I'm pretty sure they would all be in the exact same boat as what Bioware is right now. I think it was just a combination of different things and bad luck that has meant that obviously the game that came out failed, therefore it's sort of shed a light on the state of Bioware. But yeah, I can guarantee you are to look back, or if you were to go behind the scenes on any games company, and they would be working the exact same as Bioware is, and they're just holding everything together, and they are just about releasing games that are successful. It's like in the article they say about the fact they actually wanted Dragon Age to fail because of the fact that people were so overworked on the franchise. They were having to take time off for burnouts, for like mental health issues, because they were just so mentally and physically exhausted. Like people were going to a quiet room and just sit there and cry because they were just so stressed about everything. And it's really, that's not a way to work, but that's just how, to me, games companies work. I mean, I can't name names, but I do have a friend who did have a burnout because they were so badly treated and they were so overworked by a particular developer that they had to take a year off work to recover, and they're still technically not really 100% back to how they were before. That's how bad it is. It's not like people just are thinking, oh god, Bioware's in such a bad position. It's not just Bioware, I can guarantee you it's pretty much every single games company out there, even like the ones that I absolutely love, Naughty Dog. I like put my hand on my heart and actually say to you, I'm pretty sure they go through the exact same shit that Bioware's having at the moment. Obviously Bioware have come up and they've responded with this whole thing, saying, oh yeah, we're going to change, the mental health of our staff is paramount importance to us. We've taken note of everything that was said in this article, blah blah blah. I can probably put money on it and say that that's not going to happen, but I can also be able to put money on it and say that pretty much every games company looks at what happened to Bioware and they don't see, like the management will not see, that is also how their company is, because they haven't had a game fail. If they had a game that failed, maybe they might think about it, oh, is it the same as what happened with Bioware? But they won't, and I can tell you why, and that's because the management of the games companies, they're all just basically bean counters. They're not gamers, they are businessmen, and a lot of them are from the boys club. I mean, this sounds like a feminist rant now. I promise it's not. But you will have like the management of these companies that haven't worked from the ground up, so to speak. They haven't come from nothing. I mean, you might have the odd few that do, but they wouldn't have got there through talent. They would have got there through their education and through their friends and different things like that. There's reasons that they're there, and it's not because of their talent or their passion for gaming. I can tell you that now. And that's the problem, I think, as well with Bioware, in terms of you've got people that were just pushing this for this game because they needed the money, not because of the fact that you had all these fans waiting for this game. I mean, you can probably say fair play, that's what computer games companies are about. They're about making money. But it's got so soulless, I think, with the whole loot boxes and games as a service and just all these different like pay to play and things like that. It's got to a point where it's not about the gaming experience anymore, it's about how much money they can make from you. And I really do think that's it's come to light with Anthem, but also how badly managed games companies are. And it only takes a little bit of misfortune, like you had with Bioware and with Anthem, for it to really shine a light on these companies as to just how on the edge they are of all basically being discovered, that this is exactly just how companies are run. Like I said, Bioware, what's happened with Bioware is just the tip of the iceberg, and I can guarantee you pretty much every single game that you're playing, the companies go through the exact same thing. You'll have the developers that they're just being worked within an inch of their lives sort of thing to bring out these games because they need to make the money. So it's a very cynical way of viewing things, but I mean, to me it's obvious, and if people don't see that, then you've got a very rose-tinted view of what the games company, like the games industry, is actually really like. I mean, to be fair, it's one of those again, it's one of those industries where it is all about the egos, because obviously when it comes to games, it's about creativity, and we know a lot of creative people have egos, sorry, but it's true. Creativity breeds ego. Obviously the marketing of games brings out egos, and you'll never find bigger egos than in marketing teams, brand teams, and community management. Like, I've got a big beef with with a particular community manager at the moment for actually saying an idea was theirs when I know for a fact it's not, and because they knew that the fans would like the idea, so they're like, yeah, it's me, I came up with it was my idea. It's like, yeah, you might have said, oh, wouldn't this be nice to do that? What you didn't actually say is that the actual developer was the one that was actually working tooth and nail to get your bosses to accept the idea, and it took ages for them to actually get that, and they worked really hard to get that, and now you're taking it as if it's your idea, and that really pisses me off. That's what I mean. So it's not just like management of the companies, it's also community management. I have an issue with community management, I really do. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. It's a nice cynical video, again, with my rants, like I do. I think that's what I should change it to Rants of a Gaming Mum, not Confessions of a Gaming Mum, shouldn't I really? So yeah, I think I'm going to leave that video here. It's a short, sharp one, but I thought I just needed to air my views on it because I mean everyone else is talking about it, so I might as well put my opinion out there. Yeah, so let me know down in the comments what you actually think about the whole situation, if you play Anthem, if you're a fan of it, if you're a Dragon Age fan, Mass Effect fan, because obviously these are all created by Bioware, so yeah, it'd be interesting to start a discussion about how people think, and do you think I'm right in terms of, or is that how you see games companies in terms of they're all basically like Bioware, it's just Bioware was dealt a shit hand basically. So yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think. So on that note, I shall say goodbye, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!